So for this next segment, for what I typically do when I rock the legs is I will stand at the foot of the table and do both legs at the same time, and then I might switch to one leg, then the other leg. For the purposes of the demonstration, I'm going to stand at the side of the table so I don't block the view, and I'm just going to go ahead and re-drape her other leg, but I would normally do both legs at the same time. But for the purpose of demonstration, just one. Depending on the client and depending on whether or not they indicate that they have low back pain or strain, I may or may not have the bolster in place. I left it here just because I did, no particular reason. But sometimes I do take the bolster out. The leg will rock a little more freely without the bolster, but it doesn't matter that much. You should be able to do it both ways. So rocking the leg is really very much like rocking the torso from the prone position. You give a little push, you let it roll of its own accord. Although I'm not completely lifting my hands off of her, I'm also not holding on to them, rocking it back and forth. Because of me, I push, let it roll back. Push and kind of let it roll back. Like dribbling a basketball. You push and then let it come back to you. And you can face the client's head and bounce the leg back and forth between your hands. You can see that I get a little less motion as I'm pushing close to her ankle here. I get a little less motion, but that's just because I'm further away from the thigh and the hip. And really what you're doing here is you're moving the femur in the hip joint. That's really where the motion is coming from. Clients who have bad knees, be cautious. I would not rock the leg below the knee. If my client has a bad knee, I would stay up here. I don't want to torque that knee at all. And if I'm up here, my influence is only on the hip joint and not on the knee joint. So working the whole way down the body, rocking, then effleurage, then point holding, then effleurage, point, effleurage, etc. For the purpose of demonstration, you've already seen the effleurage and point holding thing, so I'm not really going to do that. One other way to rock the body, or rock the leg, excuse me, is to put one hand underneath the knee, and then I roll it back and forth with my fingers. I'm really just pushing with my fingers and the palm of my hand, kind of rolling it back and forth is another thing to do. You can also traction a little bit on the leg, give it a little jiggle, 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 which is kind of funny. It feels a little funny, but again, moves chi. Rocking the leg or jiggling the leg, tractioning the leg helps to move chi in the body. Now, while I'm at her foot, this gives me a chance to talk about one other thing, the steady, supported, and vertical piece of the point holding. When I'm pressing on the client's back straight down to the table is supporting her body and therefore supporting my hand. That's not always the case if I'm working on the client's hand or forearm or feet. Then I need to use one of my hands to support the body part that I'm working with while I use the other hand to do the point holding. The hand that does the supporting is called the mother hand. So if I'm pressing on the top of her foot, the mother hand is my left hand supporting the sole of her foot, and my working hand is my right hand pressing on a point known as kidney 3. Liver 3. So the mother hand is supporting. Now if I didn't support and I'm pressing with this finger, I'm just going to push her foot around. That's not a very comfortable position for an extended period of time. Number one, and number two, it doesn't maintain the steadiness. So steady, supported, and vertical. So that's it for rocking the leg. I just wanted to demonstrate that one little thing about point holding. The next location on the body would be the abdomen. If you are not comfortable with abdominal draping, that's something that we can certainly practice in class. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I have what I think is my comfortable way. Lots of people have different ways. When you move on to the abdomen, you do not rock the body. You have already rocked the torso when the client was in the prone position. So that's one thing, you've already done it. Two, it's just a little weird and a little too personal to be shoving somebody's torso around from the front. So we're going to skip that. We would go effleurage, point holding. I'm not going to demonstrate that. You know how to do effleurage in the abdomen, and you now know how to do point holding. So legs, abdomen, and the next thing I'm going to show you is arms. Just for the piece about rocking. And just like with the legs, you kind of roll the arm back and forth. Of course, you don't want to like flop it off the table and hyperextend the elbow and all that sort of stuff. So it's best to kind of jiggle back and forth between the hands so that one hand is always preventing the arm from falling off the edge of the table. You can also do a little thumb handshake and swing the arm like that. Or you can hold it still here and push with your opposite hand at the elbow. I happen to really like swinging the arm like that, and Jen is great with this. Lots of clients do not let go of control enough if their arm really swings. You can, again, traction and a little wiggle, 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 little jiggle, jiggle. And from there, after I do the rocking for, 15, 20, 30 seconds, it's a small body part. We don't need to do it forever. I would do effleurage, I would do my point holding, effleurage point holding, etc., etc., and then I would be done. I would cover the arm back up. So we've done legs, we've done abdomen, we've done arms. Now when you do the legs, you can do the point holding and the rocking, both legs at the same time. Obviously with arms, you need to do one arm, then the other arm. Then the last thing you want to finish up with, there's just a few face points. Obviously, you are not going to rock the head. No need to give your client a headache. You do, however, do gentle effleurage, gentle facial effleurage, point holding, gently, cautiously. Some of the points are in fairly personal spaces. For example, right at the side of the nostrils, I don't want my hands like Godzilla on her face. I keep my hands up and away from her face as much as I can. And gentle effleurage always. The last point is the third eye, which is a single point. So both hands always on the client. And then you might finish with one last little effleurage and traction, which I'm not going to bother to demonstrate. So that's it for the supine portion of the routine. Legs, abdomen, arm, arm. It doesn't really matter whether you do right or left first, although Chinese medicine might tell you a little differently. We'll talk about that in class. So legs, abdomen, arm, arm, and ending with the face.